Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7 by 7. So I'm continuing my series of looks at the Last Jedi novelization by Jason Fry, and today we are talking about the last moments of Rey on the island of Ahch-To. So when they had that whole foofara over the caretakers and the supposed raiders that were coming to the island, after Rey stormed off from that, she said, she's taken off, like she's done, she is leaving the island, but she knew there was something she wanted to do first, and that was to go inside that blowhole and go experience whatever needed to be experienced in that dark side place within the island. Now, there's not a lot that's additional there from what we saw in the movie, just that the idea of her being in that line of rays, like she wasn't one necessarily at the head of the line or the back of the line the whole time. As Jason Fry writes the novelization, she's actually at different points in the line, like the actual Rey, and she is constantly having to move herself through the line to get to the point where she wants to be to learn what she needs to learn. And after everything went so wrong with Luke, she knows that there's only one person that she can talk to about the experience, and that's Kylo Ren. So after their encounter where he's shirtless, and that one pretty much goes the way that you already know about it, she has the discussion with him when they're in her hut, and then Luke shows up in the middle of it and destroys the hut, and then they have their fight and so on and so forth. And ultimately it's the same thing. She offers him the lightsaber and he won't take it. He tells her the truth about what happened, and yeah, she's done. She's gone. So she flies off in the Falcon, and there's no indication in the book that she actually takes the books inside the Jedi library, inside that Unagi tree. And yeah, there's a mention of her shutting a drawer, and that's of course got to be the drawer where the books are, and that's it. No other thing. So she ends up going, off into hyperspace to find the fleet and tells Chewie, jump as soon as you drop me off in the escape pod. And there is a note on the escape pod that's written in Arabic. It says, "Property of Han Solo, please return," on the thing, which makes Rey actually amused. And I don't know where I saw this, but I swear I saw something cross my radar suggesting that little Ben Solo had written something on the escape pod too, maybe something to the effect of, property of Han Solo and Ben Solo or something like that. But now, of course, I can't seem to find it. So if that rings any bells with you, then by all means, leave me a comment on either Facebook or YouTube, wherever you see this video or wherever you listen to the audio of the podcast, and let me know where I can find that, if I may have actually seen that or if I was just dreaming, whatever it is. Yeah, just drop me a line. And when she arrives at the First Order fleet pursuit of the Raddus and gets in the escape pod and gets taken into the Supremacy, Kylo Ren is of course there to greet her. One thing that we didn't see in the movie though, but that happened in that scene, was a discussion of the lightsaber. And he said, yeah, that lightsaber belongs to me, give it to me. And she gives him some guff about it, saying, oh, well, it called to me at the castle. And I thought that was an interesting choice. Not that it called to her at the forest on Starkiller Base in the snowy forest where they had their first lightsaber battle, but it actually called to her in the castle, is what she says to him. So I thought that was an interesting little point of order. And so she doesn't necessarily give it up readily, but she knows she's going to have to give it up, and so she does. And in case you were wondering at all about the timing of things, when Rey shows up at the First Order fleet, it's about the same time that Rose and Finn and DJ are arriving to slice their way into the Supremacy. And in fact, Finn is noticing that there are a few TIE fighters flying around, and he notices that they are not flying anywhere near where their position is, which they ought not to anyway, because the ship is supposed to be cloaked to begin with. But the fact that it's not an utter and complete swarm going after the Resistance makes him wonder just what it is that's going on. And I think the implication is that the TIE fighters are there to escort the escape pod into the Supremacy, and probably to have checked to see what's happening with the Millennium Falcon, like where did the ship come from and where did it go. Kylo Ren has a moment where he's like, that thing again, that ship, and he's amazed that it doesn't disintegrate upon going into hyperspace again. He really has a sore spot about the Millennium Falcon. Hopefully that's something that we'll get to learn about at a future date. But You know what? I know I wanted to talk to you about what went on with Luke, and I'm sorry I'm going to break that promise for you today. Instead, we're going to move it to tomorrow because that is pretty much the meat of the podcast. Hey, it's supposed to be between 7 and 14 minutes a day, 7 days a week, and so we are already hitting near our allotment for the video portion of the podcast, at least, and for the audio portion, too. So, that being said, that's going to do it for the video portion of the podcast. If you check out the audio portion, that's at sw7x7.com/iTunes or wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you'll get to hear a bit more. But for now, it just remains for me to say thank you so much for listening, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.